We'll see if we can backflip. We'll jump here if we get the run in better and we don't get taken out by an AI. Yeah. Clearing that, I don't see being an issue. What's going on, guys? We are taking a look at the new DLC for MX vs. ATV Legends today. Obviously, you can tell by the title of the thumbnail. We're gonna start with Redbud because that's when I was back in Michigan, this was the track that was probably the closest actual Pro Nationals race to me. I am no longer in Michigan, but the closest thing to me is probably Spring Creek. That I know absolutely nothing about the track. I was just trying to look up where the races are near me since I live in the middle of nowhere now, and it's they make a long hike. Spring Creek's the closest from where I'm at now, but Redbud's the one that was closer to me in Michigan, and I never made it to a race there, which kind of sucked. It was still too far away the time I lived there. But this is probably where I spent more time playing this in MX Simulator, and I'm at least basically familiar with the track. I'm curious to see how it's going to play on this. We're running a 450 today. We're running with the AI on the hardest difficulty. I like how the starting the slider for the AI on this went from Squid to Legend for the difficulty. It made me laugh at the starting, or the easiest difficulty you could play on was Squid. The biggest thing I'm noticing difference between this and MX Simulator is I can actually hit the jumps in this, and I don't need to, I'm not struggling on every lap. And if anything, you almost have to hold back in this game, especially on the 450. You can see how, if we try and send everything, you can definitely overjump it. We'll see how it goes on the Rocco's Leap. But it definitely seems, I guess, more scale, since with how fast the bikes go in this relative to other games, you can definitely overjump things a lot easier. So, that's unfortunate. Wow, they had to rob me of the jump. That's annoying. We'll turn around, or not. Really? I just want to hit the jump game! Okay, so even if we turn around... Oh, yeah, we can still clear it over that. The jump feels still so small in this compared to... I remember in MX Simulator, getting lined up to blast that corner was a huge thing, and then I struggled with, and I had to really try my best to be able to clear it. And even then, sometimes I still didn't make it, whereas in this, it seems like that's going to be much less of a challenge in this. The tracks, I will say, much like the stock tracks for the game, the default tracks definitely feel really solid, and so we'll probably bump over to checking out another tracks. Nah, we won't. We'll stick with Redbud for this for now. But we'll check out another track once I finish this race off. But I guess I'll take a more in-depth look at some of these tracks and give more opinions, since I'm sure plenty of other people that get stuff earlier than I do have already given their probably better takes on it. Me being somebody who's coming back into the MX vs. ATV series after taking a hiatus, and my opinions, I guess, would be much like the default tracks in the game. I think were really good. This also seems to be really good. Everything seems like it's flowing and riding nicely. We'll go check out another track in the series. We'll probably go to Spring Creek after this, since that's the nearest to me. But it does seem like it rides really well. There's options to race on, which go figure, they're just replicating a track. But it rides well. I think the racing will be good on this, especially when in multiplayer. I think it'll be a lot of fun. And the AI seems like it's at least capable of being slightly more competitive, since I am no longer running away with 35-second leads after crashing and stopping multiple times. We'll see if we can backflip. We'll jump here if we get the run in better and we don't get taken out by an AI. Yeah. Clearing that, I don't see being an issue. We are playing with the 450 now, but in my experience with the game so far, it feels like the 450s are honestly... That was an interesting bounce. The 450s honestly feel... Just going off of feel, I don't know off of lap time, but going off of feel, the 450 feels like it's heavier and slower than the 252 strokes are. I know in the air, the 252 stroke's definitely a lot easier to throw around in the air than the 450 is. On the ground, I can't quite make up my mind yet, but it does... It feels like the 252 stroke is faster than the 450s in this right now, which is maybe something interesting. I guess we can pay attention to that when more people start finishing out the career mode to go to online. We'll see how much of a difference there really is and what people are using online. I can say that I still have a long way to go in the career. And I guess another note would be, as you progress in the career, you unlock stuff at the farm compound. So when I first got the game, my big gripe was the farm compound was very empty and very boring. Slowly, stuff eventually gets filled in. As you play the game, more stuff gets filled in. You really gotta get on the brakes for this. You can't just, I do like that how there's more technical stuff going on with these tracks. They're not just wide open and... Reflex to me it was fun because I could just hit everything wide open and be bad and be just fine. This is forcing me to get a little bit better at the game now, which maybe is making the racing more fun for me now, and there's more to it, and there's a much higher skill ceiling to it. Try and do some more tricks here since that's all I'm good for anymore. Definitely don't. I guess the upside of them rescaling this jumps that with the 450s at least you'll probably still be able to clear that without having to take the wide outside like I just did on every lap I ran this track. But yeah, overall I would say that so far very, very good impressions. We'll probably move on to checking out another track since I think we just closed the race out. And we'll cut to the next track. I lied. Instead of going to Spring Creek, we're going to go to Thunder Valley in this video just because looking at the list of tracks and going down them, the ones I'm familiar with, I've watched Dio run this track plenty of times, so I at least know some of what to expect here. Since, well, of the tracks, Redbud was near me in Michigan, so I played that one a lot in other games, and Thunder Valley, I've watched Dio ride it, so I sort of, and it's the order of attachment to me. So once it gets everything out west, I honestly don't give a shit about it. I'm not attached to the western half of the country very much. But this one I'm at least familiar with, and I know it should be an interesting track. I definitely think, much like the stock tracks, a lot of the stock tracks, I guess to say it feels like the stock tracks, they made a better effort, I guess, and they kind of set them up to make the stock tracks mimic Nationals tracks, like actual Nationals tracks, because these are playing very similar to how the stock tracks do, where there's walls, you can't just rail everything full throttle, you slide off the track like you saw earlier. There's little, like, singles into the corner, there's braking bumps, there's all these little extra things that, you know, just weren't there on, in past games, or for everybody else who might be curious, we'll turn the HUD back on. There we go. I think we have turned the HUD back on for anybody curious to see how much, how fast we're hitting anything, or seeing what the preload's doing when it hit these. Since some of these you have to preload, some of them you don't. That one we probably should have preloaded. I guess we also get a comparison between the 250 and the 450 on this track. I don't know if it's just something in my head because the two-stroke revs higher and sounds faster, or but it definitely feels like the 250 is quite a bit faster than the 450 was. Let me know in the comments if you've spent any time playing this and you've made it that far. What do you think the scoop is? Because it feels like the 250 two-strokes are definitely going to be the way to go for competitive stuff. Sweet, it lets you cut the corner there, which is the other reason I wanted the HUD back on, so we can see when the off-track cue happens, because there might be some corners you can clip. I know that one I definitely probably didn't need to preload that. I think I tried to seat bounce it, but I shouldn't have. And there we go. Yeah, this is, we'll see how it works out in the multiplayer and how many people actually end up playing it, and if they add career mode events or something to it beyond showing up to race the computers. Actually, we'll pop into online after I finish another lap here and we'll see, but my initial impressions of, at least, maybe we'll do other videos looking at other tracks in more detail, but at least on Thunder Valley and on Redbud, it seems to be giving... I would give it 2 thumbs up. They did a really good job. Everything seems like it feels and rides nicely. Not out of scale. You can't just blow everything out in full throttle anymore. I think it's worth it. I think the game's in a good place right now, and I think it's only going to get better as time goes on. It's very divisive. A lot of people still really, really don't like the game, but it's been out for, what, a week or 2 now? And they've at least gotten this out quickly, and they've already put one patch out to the game to address concerns people had. It seemed like they're actually listening to people this time. So we'll see. It seems to be giving me good vibes going forward. The thing I wish they would do is if they put out mod tools, if they actually officially supported mods, I think the game would be in a much better place, but whether or not that actually happens, remains to be seen. I've got a feeling they're probably not going to do that, but I think the biggest way they could get a lot of people on board would at least be supporting the modding community for the games. If they gave all the crazy talented people that are in MX Bike Simulator, Reflex, and all that access to tools for this, it would behoove them, I would think, but we shall see. Anyway, we will move on to, we'll see if we can go race online on these tracks next and see how that goes. Okay, so we're at the online selection mode. If you are curious, there is, these are your options. You get to choose the location. You can choose Supercross, you can choose Nationals, or you can choose the location. Apparently, you don't get to, there's no running these national tracks in multiplayer, which I would say is an enormous downside. You can only ride at the compound with your friends, apparently. So, stuck on canceling network operation. That's fun. So yeah, I would say not having access to those for online playing is definitely a really, really big downside, since it seems like you can't even... If you had a group of people that all bought the DLC and you want to race against each other, it currently seems like you just can't, which is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I don't know what else there is to say. We took a look at 2 of those tracks. If you guys want to see me look at every other track in great detail, let me know. Doing some stunts here, since the other update I would have is I'm still working on getting through the career mode for this game. There is, as you play, more stuff gets added to the compound. There's this building we can jump onto now. But yeah, that was a look at a couple of the DLC tracks. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I would definitely... At this point, I would say it's probably worth picking the game up for $35. The Nationals tracks are cool, but if you can't run those national tracks against other people online, I'm not sure how much value there is to them. That remains to be seen. I'm assuming that's coming in an update soon. We'll find out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.